Hello, and thank you for listening to another episode of the Moore's October Rain series, where I talk about certain things that are bothering me or news stories or something that happened to me. And it's just my way of ranting without having a filter. And today's episode, I want to talk about like what normal is compared to what weird is. Because in society, people will tell you what they feel is normal and what they feel is weird. But one thing could be normal to one person and one other thing could be weird to another person. I'll give you an example. Say I like to go to the gym and I like to work out. And then after the gym, I like to go to my local store, Walmart, or wherever I get like my candy. And say I like to get like a Reese's Pieces peanut butter cup every time I work out after the gym. And I tell someone that, and they think that's weird, but then I tell four other people and they think that that's normal, you know? It just depends on who you're talking to about it, because everyone has like their own set definition of what things are in their mind, you know? Like, I'll be honest with you, I like to watch old Nickelodeon shows like Drake and Josh, Zoya 101, like stuff that's made for kids and teenagers and stuff. And, you know, I like to relive my childhood because I used to watch those shows. And, you know, there are probably people out there that would think that's weird. You know, people would probably think that's strange and I'm a grown adult and I watch those shows still every now and then. But I like to go back and revisit my childhood. But then there'd be some people that would probably think that that's normal and that's completely fine. So, you know, it really just depends on the person you're talking to, because everyone has their own standards. Everyone has things that they feel is weird and everyone has things that they feel is normal, you know? There's no one set definition of what's normal, and there's no one like universal set definition of what weird is. It just depends on the individual. So when someone tells me something's weird, as long as I like it and I'm doing what I want to do with my life and I'm not hurting anybody, like physically hurting somebody, like I'm going to do what I want to do. And, you know, gonna have, like, I already made a whole episode on people shaming people, or the concept of shame. And, you know, I'm not going to be shamed for what I like, and I'm not going to be shamed for what I like to do. And people aren't going to tell me that I'm weird, you know? I like to watch videos on TikTok of girls dancing and doing all kinds of different dances and stuff. And, you know, sometimes I'll share those videos in a group chat because, you know, I like to share videos that I find, and people will sometimes call it weird. And, you know, that's what I like to do. You don't have to like the videos. It's a group chat. Not everything has to be about you, you know? You can be a fucking adult and just ignore it and not say anything. If it's one-on-one, I understand if it's different, like you telling me not to send those because you don't care or you're not interested. But if it's a group chat and there's like 50 people and you're one person out of 50 people and you don't like it and call me weird, like how self-centered can you be? Maybe 10 other people in the group like the video and you're the only one person who thinks it's weird and calls me weird. Like, I don't understand like people and like how they think that they can just dictate other people's lives like that and put a label on someone of what's weird and what's normal. You know, I do it too, but I don't try to dictate someone's life and tell them what they are. It's just, I tell them straight up, it's my opinion. But people like to, and that's fine. You can say things are weird or normal, but people like to like try to like embed it in your head that like it's like fact, and it's not fact. You know, like I said, I'll be the first person to tell you if what you're saying is weird or not weird or normal, but I let people know again that it's my opinion and I'm not trying to like tell you how to live. But, you know, people nowadays just love to put their fucking logo on someone and like try to brand them as like a certain thing and try to like smear them as a bad person or weird or a fucking loser or whatever like horrible title that they've deemed on you. And, you know, I just don't think that that's a productive way to live your life. You know, if you're really trying to like make people feel bad and like shame them because, you know, make them feel weird because they like a certain thing that you don't particularly like, then that says a lot more about you than it does about the other person, you know? If they're not bothering anybody, you know, there's some people that adhere to certain religions and you have people calling them weird because they believe in a certain religion or telling them that they're a certain way because they believe in a certain religion, you know? I personally am not a very religious person. But if I meet a religious person, that's fine. I'm not going to try to shame them and shun them and call them weird and call them like not normal because they are like believe in a certain religion. I'm not going to attack them and claim that what I'm saying is fact. People can believe what they want to believe, and that's fine. And I'm not going to try to call them weird for it. And, they can have the same respect for me. Like we don't always have to attack each other and call what we say weird and call what we say awful and try to like brand each other as like wrong, or it's basically the same concept when it comes to what's wrong and what's right. Like something that's weird usually is what someone thinks is wrong or not a good way to live. And then normal means normal means like the correct way to live. But another thing you have to understand is that what's normal is basically something that is set by society. Society loves to set social norms of what they believe is normal. And what was set to be normal like 50 years ago, and as I live in America, but what was normal 50 years ago in America is different than what it was 50 years ago in China or an Asian country. Like it's very different, and every culture is different, and America is different than other countries, and other countries have different cultures, and there's stuff that cultures do in other countries that America would think is weird right now, like neck stretching and other stuff like that. And I know China is a big consumer on dogs, like it's part of their culture and stuff, and it's part of the summer solstice to eat dog meat. And Americans aren't really for that. They think that that's disgusting and cruel and mean and weird, and they deem them as weird and not normal for that. But they look at us and they're like, you guys eat cows and pigs and goats and all kinds of shit. So like they think eating dogs is normal. And it really just depends on what culture you grow up in. And again, like we think that's weird that they eat dogs and they think it's normal. It just depends on who you ask. People in China think it's fine. So there's really no one set definition of what's normal and what's weird. It just depends on who you ask, and it depends on the opinion of who you're asking. So that's why, like, again, I'm trying not to take everything so seriously because, everyone, or I should say personally, because everyone has their own opinion on stuff. And just because someone has a different perspective, it doesn't mean that that's like the universal way of how things should be. It's just how they believe. And sometimes you can get really offended by someone and think that what they're saying is wrong and get offended by it, but just realize that not everyone has to think the same, and it's our differences that would make us special. So, and if we thought all the same, it'd be boring. So I try not to let people get me down and let them like brand me as normal or weird or whatever, because their version of normal is, like I said, different from someone else's version of normal. So, and another thing before I end this is you're always going to be weird no matter what you do. I could totally reinvent myself. Someone could tell me how I should talk to be normal. They could tell me how to dress, like get a certain profession so I seem more normal. Or just any type of activity or something that's going to make me appear to be more normal to somebody. And, I could do everything they say, listen to all their advice about how I can be more normal. And then there's always going to be somebody that will think that I'm weird no matter what I do. And then the person that thinks I'm weird, I'll listen to them. And then another person will think I'm weird. And then, like everyone's version of normal is weird to somebody else. Everyone's different. So basically my point is you just got to be yourself and you got to do what works for you, and you just got to live your life and be happy, because living over and over and over and changing for someone's standards is never going to be good enough, because there's always going to be people that will think that that's weird, and that's just no way to live. And you have to just live for yourself and do what you want to do, and stop trying to let people put a label on you, and just be who you are and be happy and be proud of who you are, because everyone is always going to judge you. Like no matter what you do, people are going to talk about you. People are going to call you weird, stupid, dumb, retarded, whatever label they put on you, and think that you're not normal. But that shouldn't define you. And, you know, again, like you could do everything right in your mind, everything you think is normal, and someone's going to come around and say that you're a fucking weirdo. So it's sad. It really is sad that, people can't just be themselves. But, it's just how the world is. And people that are so like worried about fitting in and how they don't fit in and what they can do to fit in. But, fitting in is not really something that people should be doing. They should be just themselves, and you'll naturally find friends. Because if you want to have a good friendship, it should be because of someone that you are, not for someone that, wants you to be a certain way. And you'll make friends naturally just by being yourself. And that's the best way to make a friend, is by being yourself. And then they'll appreciate you for who you are. And you won't have to put on some type of fake act to find someone. So that's the end of this episode. I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll make more episodes soon. Thank you for listening, and have a good one.